So this is just a little video to explain to you how a cross-country meet is scored and how we can incorporate that knowledge into some racing strategy. So the basic idea is this. In a varsity cross-country race, we can enter 7 runners, and our score is calculated by the sum of the places of the first 5 runners from a team, and the lowest score wins. A couple of notes: we don't have to identify those 5 runners. It's just we put 7 in a varsity race, and the first 5 calculate our score. In a JV race or a freshman race, we can put in everybody, and among all of our runners in that race, the first 5 runners are our scoring runners. So when you add up the team places or the athlete places, a perfect score or a cross-country shutout would be you get all 5 of your runners across the finish line before anybody else gets any runners across the line. So the best score you can get in a cross-country meet is 15 points. So let's just look at kind of a simple scenario here to see this in action. So let's say you have 2 teams in a meet, yellow versus blue, and they cross the finish line in this order. So yellow has 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13. Blue has the even numbered places there. So when we calculate these team scores, we take the places of the first 5 runners, we add those up, and in this case, yellow would get 25, blue would get 30, and so the yellow team would win. So that's the basic idea. You just add up the places of the first 5 runners. Let's look at a little change in this scenario. Let's just say that those 2 blue runners, number 4 and 5, went a little faster. They passed up runners 4 or 5 on the yellow team, right? So we have this situation instead. What that's going to do is change our score. So now yellow has 1, 3, 5, 8, and 10, and blue has 2, 4, 6, 7, and 9. And so if we recalculate the scores, in this case, yellow ends up with 27 points, blue with 28. So yellow still wins, but it's a little closer because some of those blue runners moved up a little bit. One more variation is this. Let's just say that runners, those last 2 runners, 6 and 7 on the blue team, move up ahead of the 5th runner on the yellow team, right? And so the only change here is that 5th yellow runner is now in 12th place. But notice nothing changed about the blue runner scores because their first 5 runners are all in the same place. So when we recalculate scores, yellow now has 29 points. Blue still has 28 because nothing changed. And so here, the blue team wins. And so these 3 scenarios, if we look at all 3 of these together, kind of illustrate an important strategy or something really important to be aware of when you're racing cross country, right? And so if we look at these 3 strategies, what didn't change is the first 6 runners, right? So they came in all 3 scenarios, they came in the exact same places. What changed is from the first scenario to the second one, those 2 blue runners, runners 3 and 4 on their team, grouped up a little bit, right? And so their score went down. And to the third scenario, those last 3 runners on the blue team moved up. And so a couple of things here, some cross-country lessons. First of all, you don't have to have a first place runner to win the meet, right? So the first blue runner wasn't in first place. What makes a huge difference is running together with your teammate, that nobody from another team is in between you and your teammates. A third important lesson is, so the first 5 runners are scorers. Everybody else, so in a varsity race, you've got 2. In a JV or a freshman race, you've got a whole lot of other runners. Everybody else on the team who passes somebody is potentially adding points to the other team's score. So you don't know if you're, say, the 10th runner on our team, if you pass somebody on another team, that person could be the 5th runner on another team. And just by passing them, you haven't changed our score at all, but you've added points to their scores. So the cross-country lesson here is when we understand how things are scored, we try not to let other teams get inside of our pack. We try to group up with our teammates, and we always pass, right? So place really is more important than your time in a race. So we really want to keep that in mind when you're racing. One other question sometimes people have is, can there be a tie, right? And the answer is yes. So here's a little scenario. Yellow comes in 1, 2, 5, 9, and 11 for their first 5 runners. Blue is 3, 4, 6, 7, and 8. And when we take those first 5 runners' scores and add them together, both teams mathematically add up to 28. There's other combinations that can happen. It actually happens more than you would think. So the way this is handled is you go to the 6th runner on each team, because the 6th runner in the blue team was 10th, which is ahead of the 6th runner on the yellow team. in this case, the blue team would win this race. And so this is just another illustration of everybody makes a difference. And a lot of times in the middle of a race, you have no idea what difference you're going to make. So never stop racing and never think, well, I'm not one of the top five. It doesn't matter. Or, I'm close enough. Like grouping up and passing are always important in a cross country race. So I hope that helps kind of give you a general idea of some things, and have a great season.